The region of Peel has two main cities, Mississauga and Brampton. Both of these cities have their own transit agencies, and in this video, I'm going to be comparing them. I'll be covering the basics, bus terminals, GO transit connectivity, frequency. By the time I'm done, I'll crown one of them the superior agency. Quick disclaimer, some of what I have to say is opinionated, so if you disagree with what I have to say, then feel free to let me know down below. So let's start off with one of my favorite things to look at when it comes to transit agency, the coverage. One of the first things that I notice is that in Mississauga, there is a lack of crosstown routes throughout the center of the city. This is because of Highway 401 cutting through it. The main crosstown routes being found on Lakeshore Road, Dundas Street, the Transitway, Eglinton Avenue, and Derry Road. There are a lot more north-south connections on streets like here Ontario, Dixie, and Winston Churchill. The only other thing that I want to mention when it comes to coverage in Mississauga is a lack of strong connections in the south. Aside from the Lakeshore, here Ontario, Dixie, and Winston Churchill, it really does lack a solid connection. Turning to Brampton, coverage is more or less very similar here. There are a lot of good, strong north-south routes in the city on streets like Main and Dixie, but unlike in Mississauga, most of these run from the bottom of the city to the top of it. Now, Mississauga, being on the lakeshore, is likely the reason for this not being the case there, but it's still something to mention. However, there are a lack of strong crosstown routes. There are only 3. One on Queen, one on Steeles, and one on Bouvard. The big thing missing here would be a bus running along the top of the city on Mayfield Road. One thing that Brampton Transit does do better in terms of coverage is that there's a lot of good routes that pass through the center of the city, specifically in this area here. There are a lot of suburban streets in this part of Brampton, and Mississauga just doesn't do as good of a job connecting to those cities, in my opinion. So to sum up the category, Mississauga does better at east-west connections, as well as having one on the top of the city, but could really benefit from its north-south streets going all the way from the lakeshore, like on here Ontario, for example. Brampton does better at covering the entirety of the city, and the north-south routes going all the way from the bottom of the city to the top, but could really benefit from other crosstown routes, especially on the top of the city. I think that because of Brampton's stronger north-south routes and a better connected core, I'm going to give this category to them. Next category, Express Network. Starting with Mississauga, its express buses are routes 101 Dundas Express, 103 here Ontario Express, 107 Malton Express, 108 Financial Express, 109 Meadowvale Express, 110 University Express, and 126 Burnham Thorpe Express. This express network covers the main arterial road that splits the city in half, as well as providing a straight connection throughout the transitway and getting to the outer rings of the city, like to Westwood Square and Meadowvale Town Center. I think that what this network lacks is a route that goes north-south from the bottom to the top of the city. Mississauga has that going east-west on Dundas and the Transitway, but I think adding an express on Dixie Road that goes from the Lakeshore to Derry Road would really be beneficial, especially as the here Ontario Express falls short of this, only going as far south as the Queensway. Now let's look at Brampton's express buses, this of course being the Zoom network. Its express buses being 501 Zoom Queen, 502 Zoom Main, 505 Zoom Bouvard, 511 Zoom Steeles, and 561 Zoom Queen West. I'm sure that you can predict this, but the biggest thing it does right is providing strong crosstown connections on 3 major streets. It also does a great job connecting to the neighboring cities. 502 and 511 go to Mississauga, 505 goes to Pearson Airport, and the 501 goes to Vaughan. The only intercity connection that the Mississauga Express buses go to is Kipling Terminal in Toronto. I think that the thing that the Zoom network is lacking is the same as in Mississauga, another north-south route. There's basically only one strong one, and that's on Main Street, Route 502. I think having one on Torbram Road or Bramley Road would really help a lot here. So to sum up this category, Mississauga's express buses do a great job at getting to the outer edges of the city, as well as providing 2 strong crosstown routes. Brampton does a good job of connecting 3 crosstown routes, as well as a better intercity connectivity, but is really lacking in the north-south department. It's a tough one, but I'm going to give this one to Mississauga, as I find its connectivity to be slightly better than Brampton's, especially with its north-south ones being a little more branched out. If Brampton had a Zoom route on Bramalea, I'd give it to them hands down. This is going to be a short one, but I don't really have a category for this, so I'm just going to throw it out there. The Mississauga Transitway gives Mississauga an easily free point. It's the only rapid transit in Mississauga that Brampton just doesn't have. Next category, connections to GO Transit. Starting Mississauga, the connections to GO Transit are found at Clarkson GO, Port Credit GO, Renforth, Dixie, Erin Mills, and Winston Churchill Transitway, Square 1, Pearson Airport, Lisgar GO, Streetsville GO, Meadowvale GO, here Ontario / Highway 407 Park and Ride, Bramalea GO, and Kipling Terminal. In Brampton, the connections to GO Transit are at Bramalea GO, Brampton GO, Mount Pleasant GO, Square 1, Pearson Airport, Huron-Ontario at Highway 47 Park and Ride, Lisgar Go, Queen Street at Highway 410, Trinity Common Terminal, and Bramalea Terminal. The way to judge which system has a better GO transit connections, to me, is to count which one has more, within their city. So for example, Square 1 only counts for Miway. So Mississauga has 7 connections in the city of Mississauga, Brampton has 6 within the city of Brampton, so Mississauga wins. Lastly, we have frequency. This one is going to be a bit tricky to figure out. Brampton has an easy-to-use frequency chart. Mississauga doesn't. So I did a bit of looking around and could deduce that Mississauga's most frequent routes run approximately every 10 minutes on the high end to every 15 minutes on the low end. And for their less frequent routes, it ranges from 20 minutes to every 40 minutes for some of their obscure routes. In Brampton, the most frequent route is 501, with around every 5 minutes service peak hours. Many of its better routes offer every 7 to 12 minutes, with its less frequent routes varying drastically, with every 20, 30, even 55 minutes. But as its best routes have better frequency and the data was easier to come by, I give Brampton the point here. So, which agency is better? Well, point-based, Mississauga has 3, Brampton has 2. But it can honestly be very subjective. It really depends on what you're looking for, and in some of these cases, it was a very close call to determine which one was better. Well, that's the transit and peel for you. I hope you learned something new about transit here and that you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.